So welcome. Welcome to the September 1st Friday webinar. Very excited to have you all here. My name is Michelle Primley Benton. I'm the Washington State Rep for NWACUHO. And today we're going to be talking about presentation prep, submitting a proposal for national and regional conferences. So for some of you, this may be a brand new experience, and some of you may be looking to just hone your presentation skills as you prepare to submit your second, third, fourth, 10th proposals to a national or regional conference. I will be walking us through some tips, some tricks, and some upcoming changes for the NWACUHO 2015 conference. I'll give you all a heads up that I am doing this webinar from home, so if a tiny human awakens, you may hear a little person chatting a bit. Should be fine. But just as a heads up, that's not random background noise. That would be my background noise if it happens. So just a little caveat before we get started. All right, so NWACUHO 2015 is coming up very, very quickly in February, 8th through 10th in Salem, Oregon. So we're very, very excited about some new opportunities and some great program proposals. We think that the location this year is going to lend itself to a lot of folks who maybe haven't otherwise participated being able to take part in the conference this year. And Eric, I don't know if you want to say anything specific about the 2015 conference in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, we're very excited to be hosting NWACUHO here in Oregon and Salem, which is our capital. And we've got a great local arrangements team made up of Oregon State, Willamette University, and Reed College that will be putting together everything for the local piece of this, and are very excited to be working with the programming committee on this piece of it, which is really what the conference is all about, an opportunity for individuals to come together and learn from each other.
Wonderful. So we hope that we'll see all of you there in Salem. So what we're going to cover today, we are going to go through picking a topic. Sometimes the hardest part of doing a program proposal is really narrowing down what you want to speak about. Whether to speak solo or to co-present, there are definitely pros and cons to both. Steps in developing your proposal, technological considerations to keep in mind, NWACUHO 2015 opportunities, additional resources, and of course, time for questions at the end. So picking a topic, this can be a really daunting piece for folks. You have so many different areas that maybe you're interested in, or think you might have a little bit of expertise, or have a very large amount of interest. So one of the first things you can do is think about the best conference presentation that you've ever been to. Was it something that was really interactive? Was it something that was unique that you don't hear a lot about? Or was it more of a best practices that you could really put into play in your day-to-day work life? So think about what really resonated with you and what are some elements of that that could work for you to present to others. Pick something that you know a lot about. This is a really, really nice way to make sure that you are not giving yourself more work than you need to in this process. Conferences are amazing. Giving presentations is a really great opportunity, but we also know that conferences tend to fall during busy times of year. And so if you propose something that's going to require that you do a lot of research on in order to be able to speak eloquently to the topic, you might be setting yourself up for a really rough time, or you may not be able to give the topic the best that it deserves. So make sure that you're picking something that you know a lot about so that you're not starting at square one with the topic. You can also pick something that you're able to really become an expert in. So in housing, we tend to wear a lot of hats, right? Whether you're in facilities, residential life, operations side of the house, odds are you know a little bit about a lot of things. So think about an area that you might be able to become particularly skilled in. For instance, you may have been able to create a really, really great piece of technology that allows for room inspections to be cataloged more smoothly, or you may have spent a lot of time working on a really wonderful check-in process that allows folks to be able to check in remotely and doesn't require a front desk to do so. You may have had a particular facilities issue that your campus has dealt with, such as bed bugs or having to turn over spaces very quickly between the conference season and the academic year. So think about something that you are able to get more experience than the average employee in that topic area, and that you can really delve in and give some tips and tricks to others. And then finally, we need a really good diversity of programming topics, and this is no matter what the conference is. But at Northwest ACUHO in particular, we really want to see sessions on supervising and advising. We do tend to see a big turnout of residential life folks, and so that advising piece can be really important. And supervision goes into a lot of different areas. We supervise student staff as resident advisors. We supervise student staff as dining employees. We supervise student staff as desk and operations folks. And then we also have a number of attendees who are supervising professional staff. So even within those seemingly standard areas, there can be a lot of diversity of topics to cover. Organizational development is always a really exciting topic and one that can appeal to folks who are across the professional experience spectrum. So brand new employees may want to get a little bit more under their belt in terms of how can they contribute to a growing organization, or how can they start to think about the important questions to ask as they look to move up in an organization. And folks who are at a mid-level or senior position may have opportunities to engage in conversation about development that they've seen within organizations that they've worked for, to be able to brainstorm with others about challenges as their organizations are growing, and to look at some of the best practices in our area. So this is one that can really cover a breadth of professional experiences and areas. And finally, operations, facilities, and housing services. So again, we know at a lot of these conferences, we do see a pretty good residential life presence, but it's really important to hear voices from operations, from facilities, and from housing services. These are all really critical components to the work that we do day in and day out. And these are really interesting topic areas for folks who maybe don't get to play in those sandboxes every single day. And they offer opportunities then for folks who otherwise might be sort of picking through the program topics to really see something that resonates for their particular unit. So we're always looking for folks to present on operations, facilities, and housing services topics. So if that is something that you know a lot about, or you are able to become an expert in, those are particularly great areas to delve into. So once you've picked your topic, again, potentially the hardest part of coming up with a conference proposal, then it's time to think about whether you want to present on your own or whether you want to present with others. It can be great to go solo, but having a diversity of presenters can only make your submissions stronger. So it's always nice to hear from a multitude of voices, right? We all come from different experiences and different vantage points. So having more than one person up there representing the topic can be a really great contribution. So how do you go about finding somebody else who might want to present with you? Think about other professionals outside of your institution you can present with. A lot of us went to graduate school or have worked at other institutions besides the one that we are currently residing at. So think about folks that maybe you did your grad program with, folks who were colleagues at a previous institution. You also are hopefully meeting a lot of folks through Northwest ACUHO. And so think about somebody that you've exchanged an email with over the Northwest ACUHO listserv, or who you were able to chat with at the last conference, and if they have some expertise that would pair well with the type of presentation that you might do, you can find some commonalities there. Additionally, vendors and corporate members can be tapped into to provide some additional depth. So if you are looking at walking folks through what it means to do a capital planning project, can you work with the folks who actually help bring those buildings to life on your campus? If you are looking at some particular facilities issues that can come into play with furniture and getting folks in and comfortable in what they can really do with their buildings, then who are your vendors that provide those for your institution? Look at the different corporate members in Northwest ACUHO or in other organizations that you're a part of and see if there are some partnerships that can happen there. Our vendors and corporate members are always thrilled to be involved in the conference, and the more opportunities that we have to engage with those folks and strengthen those partnerships, the better. And it's a great professional development experience for you as a presenter to dig a little bit more into what those members are doing and bringing to our field. Presenting can be really scary for some folks. Public speaking is the #1 fear, even above spiders and death. So it can be scary. Having a co-presenter can help you build confidence. So especially if you are a little bit nervous about presenting for the first time, or maybe you're making the jump from a regional conference to a national conference and that feels a bit more intimidating, having a co-presenter can help build that confidence and really make sure that your presentation is everything that it can be. And it's an amazing way to build new connections and relationships. So I know that there are folks throughout the region who have friendships that have been built because they actually ended up presenting on a topic with somebody that previously had been more of an acquaintance. So I think that there are some of those folks on the call now who've had that experience. So don't be afraid to reach out to others. It's a great way to develop some new knowledge, to develop some new connections and relationships, and your audience will love getting to hear from more than one person. And Catherine has shared that she is one of the folks that has that experience. So if you have questions about reaching out to somebody, Catherine is a wonderful resource. So developing your proposal. It's really important to, with any organization that you are submitting a proposal to connect your topic to mission and core purposes. And here at Northwest ACUHO, we really look for proposals that have connected the topics to those mission and core purpose details. So remembering that our vision statement is to be the higher education housing industry's leading regional association by providing professional enrichment that enhances the residential environment. It's a big, lofty vision. Tying your session back to that is really critical. And most critical is really tying it back to those core purposes. So we exist for the members, and we exist to promote best practices in our field, to encourage professional development, to foster collaborative sharing of ideas, and to examine future industry trends. So as you're thinking about your topic and how you want to speak to it, think about how it relates to each of those issues. It doesn't necessarily seem like the most difficult piece to do, but a lot of folks take for granted how their topic relates and then don't tie it back to those core pieces. So if we see that language and we see the intentional focus on tying it back, that's only going to strengthen your proposal. So again, connecting that topic to the mission and core purposes, the abstract you submit is what attendees are going to see when deciding what program to attend. So it's really easy as you're flying through that program proposal to just kind of slap together a quick abstract and hope that the committee gets the point, but it's not just the selection committee that's going to be seeing that piece. It's also going to be the attendees, and we all want to have a popular turnout, right? It's kind of a bummer to give a presentation and not have very many folks in the room because they didn't know what they were going to be seeing, or they didn't really think that it sounded as interesting based on what you've decided to share. So really make sure that you are spending some time making that abstract pop, connecting it back to the mission and core purposes so that folks can see how it's going to benefit them as a professional. This is a little sneak preview of what a program proposal would look like through Northwest ACUHO. So you have space to write a program abstract suitable for publication. It's got to be short. So if you have a friend who's really, really great at editing, or a colleague who is wonderful at saying in 10 words what many of us end up saying in 25 to 30, get them to edit this program abstract and make sure that it says what you hope it says. Make sure that it snaps. This is a good place for, your friend who works in marketing to take a quick look at it. And the next section is where you get to delve much more into, okay, what is this actually going to look like? What is the description? So you want to include an overview of your content, how you're going to present it. So are you going to be doing it lecture style? Are you going to have folks break into small groups? Are you going to have clickers and have folks participate that way? How are they going to get that information? What are your learning outcomes? We want programs where folks are going to come away with some new developed knowledge. So make sure that you outline what folks will take away from your program. What's the applicable theory, research, or practice at hand, and what is the benefit to our conference attendees? So this is also a good space to think about, is there a theme to the year's conference? How does that tie in? And what are folks going to walk away with by coming to your program? And finally, the full program description, again, is what we'll use to evaluate your proposal. So the program committee, which is headed up by our president-elect, is going to take a look at all of the program proposals that come through, and they're going to use those full program descriptions and put it against their rubric to determine who's going to get to move forward to the conference. And that's a similar setup no matter what regional or national conference you're going to be applying to. So when writing your full program description, a few things to make sure that you do. Pay attention to word limits. Overages will be cut off. So it is a shame if you spend 1,000 words kind of doing the setup and then the real meat of your proposal falls at words 1,001 through 1,500. So make sure that you are paying really close attention to those word limits and that you are getting the important information underneath of that cutoff. Don't worry about connecting your title, abstract, or description to the conference theme. Sometimes we have folks spend all of their energy trying to come up with something really, really witty. It's great if it ties in, but don't go for that and sacrifice the actual content of your proposal. And finally, have someone else read your proposal to check for spelling, grammar, etc. Nothing is more distracting for a committee needing to read many, many proposals than to see the wrong version of there, and there come up over and over and over again in a proposal. So if this is not your strong suit, which is not everybody's, make sure that you have somebody read that proposal and check for it. And even those of us who might consider ourselves to be a little bit more on the grammatically correct side of the line, if you look at the same document over and over again, you're going to miss things. So remember that more eyes on it can be a little better, and go ahead and have somebody proofread for you. So the next thing to think about is technological considerations. You have drafted a really great idea. You have snagged yourself a wonderful co-presenter. What are some other pieces that you might be able to utilize? Webinars are always a great place to hone your skills. So especially if you are considering presenting for the first time, or maybe you're looking at trying out a new topic, even if you're a seasoned presenter, webinars are a really wonderful place to hone those skills, and it's a very different style of presenting because, for instance, I can't see any of your body language right now. So you have different cues to work from, and you need to present in a little different fashion. So that can be a really wonderful place to get some different experience. Think about utilizing things like clicker or remote survey technology. Depending on what type of topic you're presenting on, sometimes folks are presenting on more personal topics of mental health or self-care that they're worried in a room full of people who don't know each other that participation might be a little bit difficult. So clicker and remote survey technology can be a great way to get interaction without folks needing to self-disclose. Even in topics that aren't necessarily as personal, it can be a really nice tool to very quickly get information from the group and be able to do quick survey data. Folks love to see the little pie and bar graphs show up there with who in the room has what experience. So this can be a really wonderful tool. Think outside of PowerPoint as well. So depending on the technology that you have access to at your institution, you may have things like Keynote if you have Apple products at your school, but you may also have access to things like Prezi accounts or Haiku Deck. So folks are going to be seeing a lot of PowerPoints throughout the day. It can be really helpful, even if it looks slightly similar, to have something that isn't the same theme that they've seen over and over again. So look at free products that exist out there for you. Look at what your institution might have access to. But having it look a little different can make a big difference for your attendees. And Eric has a wonderful survey out there for everyone, the 2013 Annoying PowerPoint Survey. So check it out. Other options are always welcome. And then think about, is your audience in the room or are they remote? So that's a little teaser for some of the things coming up for the 2015 conference. But this can be the case for a webinar. If you are doing any sort of conference call presentation, how do you need to present slightly differently if your audience doesn't get to look at you and you don't get to look at them? So moving into Northwest ACUHO 2015, and I'll also let Eric chime in on this, we are very, very excited about the fact that this year we are going to be moving forward with live casting some sessions. And so we know that every year, while it would be wonderful if every single member from every single one of our institutions was able to attend the conference, our institutions can't shut down during that week, and so some folks are not able to attend, and there are travel restrictions and other things that come into play. So this year we're really excited to give the opportunity for folks who are not able to make it to Salem to participate, and for folks who are in Salem to be able to present and potentially have their session live cast. So we're going to be emphasizing a diversity of programs to be offered so that day of programming really speaks to a variety of professional experience levels and operational areas. We'll be looking at proposals that talk about how to engage remote participants. So if you are giving a presentation in the front of the room and it's going to be live broadcast and somebody at Eastern Washington University who wasn't able to make it and somebody at University of Alberta who wasn't able to make it are logged in and back at their institutions in a room, how are you engaging them just as much as you're engaging the folks who are right there in the room in front of you? We're also going to be looking very closely at what are the learning outcomes for sessions. So how are folks able to really engage in that topic back at their home institutions and have lively discussions, since they won't be able to partake in those discussions that happen offline at the conference between sessions or at socials in the evening. We want to make sure that there is a great opportunity for folks to continue to engage with the topic areas. And this is a huge one because it's an opportunity to engage those who might not normally attend a conference. So we exist for all of our members, not just the members who are able to come and join us every February. So this is a big step to be able to make sure that we're serving them. So the programming committee is going to be reviewing proposals, and folks will have the opportunity to indicate if they want to be considered for one of these live cast sessions. So not everybody necessarily wants to be broadcast across the region, but for those that do, we think that this is going to be a really exciting opportunity for folks. But it does mean that for those presentations, there's a little bit more to think about, and there will be some more materials for them to prepare so that those remote locations can engage. Eric, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't have anything specifically. I think you did a great job explaining it, Michelle. I think this is, again, definitely something that we're really excited about. We're one of the first regions that will be implementing this technology, and it's something that the national organizations are looking at and trying to do as well. So we're really on the cutting edge here, and it's just a great opportunity to have an impact well beyond what's happening at the conference. But then, as Michelle said, make sure that we're engaging our membership from throughout the region, even those that can't be there. So it's definitely one of the initiatives that I'm most excited about for Northwest ACUHO this year.
Yeah, excellent. So if you have always wanted to get to have your presentation broadcast for the masses, be thinking about that now. So things to keep in mind generally: don't overpromise what you'll deliver in your presentation. So sometimes simplicity is actually best, and if you start to get too convoluted or are getting into technologies that you're not as comfortable with, or trying to tackle a topic that there's just really no way you're going to be able to do it justice in 50 minutes, don't overpromise then, because you don't want folks to come to that session and then be disappointed when they thought that they were going to get one thing and they walk away with maybe a third of what they were expecting. So you can take on big topics, but if you know that you're going to either do a Cliff Notes version or maybe you're just going to explore one sliver of what that means, make sure you're being specific about that so that folks know what you'll be delivering. Sponsored program sessions. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Michelle, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm at a conference and I read the program abstract and then I go to the program and I don't get what I was promised in that abstract. So that's, I think, a really important part of this.
Yeah, you can give a great presentation, but if it's not what you told folks it was going to be, they'll walk away frustrated. So make sure that you are selling what you're giving. Sponsored program sessions are a great option within Northwest ACUHO. So our task forces go through the programs once they're selected and look at ones that most closely align to the task force's mission statement, and we'll reach out then to those presenters to be a sponsored session. So this is a great opportunity for folks to be able to get a little bit of additional coverage at the conference and to be able to have some face time with the committee chairs as well. So and when you go back to that, hey, what can I present on? If you look at some of the different task force areas, that can be a really great way to start to hone in on a topic if you look at what those different areas are covering, so that you can either set yourself up for an opportunity for those sponsored program sessions, or at the very least get a jump start on a potential idea for your presentation. All presenters will have to register and attend the conference. So if you know that you don't have institutional support to travel this year, you need to really consider whether you will personally be able to finance that travel, or make sure that you're applying for scholarships for that opportunity as well. But it is required that presenters are registering and in attendance at the conference. Now, we have had folks who do sort of a split presentation where one of the presenters is there and in person and registered and attending the conference, and they have had somebody else basically remote present with them via things like Google Hangout or through webinar technology. So there are some options there, but at least one of the presenters is going to need to be registered and attending the conference. It's a competitive process. And so unfortunately, we can't accept all proposals. So it's really important when you go into it that you're putting your best foot forward. Don't take for granted that just because you submit something means that you will automatically be able to present and attend. We have had an increasingly competitive field of programs over the past several years, which is really, really exciting. But it means that folks really do need to spend some time and make sure that they are crafting a program proposal that speaks to a diversity of topics, that engages folks in a unique way, and that will really benefit the membership. So some additional resources as you think about putting together your program proposals for this year. The ACPA YouTube channel has some really great tips and presentations available. You may get sucked into the YouTube hole there and watch a lot of videos, but this is a really wonderful resource for putting together a presentation. And the Northwest ACUHO Programming Committee, which is going to be chaired by Catherine Magura, is also a really wonderful resource as you move forward. And over the coming weeks, you're going to start seeing some more information about program proposals. But feel free, if you have questions or you're wanting to get a jump start on things, to reach out to Catherine. Her email is here on the screen, catherine.magura@oregonstate.edu. And obviously, if you have any questions, you can also find her information on the Northwest ACUHO website, and she is happy to help field questions and help you prepare to submit a fantastic proposal. So submit one not quite today, but real soon. So they will be due on November 1st, and the website will be updated shortly as the programming committee comes together to make sure that they have everything in alignment for this season's program proposals. And presenters will know their status November 15th. So we try to do this early enough that folks are able to really make sure that their travel arrangements are taken care of, that if you have presenters from elsewhere, that they're able to plan accordingly. And for folks who do get selected to do the live casting, that there's plenty of time to prepare the additional materials that will be needed for those sessions. And ACUHO will start accepting proposals very, very shortly. So I believe the NAFTA deadline has already passed. Some of you may have already submitted proposals for that, but ACUHO will be coming up as well. So important dates to keep in mind. So thank you very much for participating today. At this point, if there are any questions, you have a lovely meeting chat box there in the left-hand corner. So I would encourage you to include any questions there. We are, of course, in our busy season here in September with our quarter schools preparing to open and our semester schools well underway and in the swing of the year, which is always a little bit busy. So we really appreciate you taking the time to participate in the September 1st Friday webinar. If you have colleagues that you know are preparing to do some program proposals and could benefit from this information, we will have the recording of this session up on the Northwest ACUHO website, and we'll have more information coming to you shortly about October's First Friday webinar. So stay tuned to your email and social media for updates there. We're always looking for folks to present for First Friday webinars, so to that note of webinars being a great place to hone your skills, if you have any questions or interested in that or know somebody who would make a great First Friday webinar presenter, please feel free to reach out to our webinar task force chair, Kate Flowers, or to me as your Washington State rep, and we will be happy to help you in that process. So Eric, do you have any closing pieces of information as our president?
I do not. I definitely want to thank Michelle for hosting our webinar today, and Catherine Magura, who is our president-elect, as the program committee chair, will be sending out information here real soon on getting program proposals submitted. So hopefully we'll have lots of great proposals. We're expecting a big conference this year because of our location, and it's really easy for individuals to get to. So look forward to having all of you there, whether it's at Northwest ACUHO or seeing you at ACUHO or some of our other conferences that are associated with higher education housing. So have a great Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.